Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Neo4j series. In this video, we are going to discuss the Neo4j driver itself. We will learn how to configure the driver, verify connectivity, inspect server information, and understand how Neo4j connection pool works. So let's get started. So first we are going to do here is like first we are going to import the important libraries. So from Neo4j import graph database, and then we imported the exceptions and logging. Now, after doing that, we define our connection details, URI and auth. So these things you already know because we have already discussed these things in our previous videos. The most important part of this video is that we don't create the driver directly inside the main function, like how we did it in the previous videos. Instead, we are creating a reusable function, which is the build driver function. Okay, and this gives us a one central place to configure the Neo4j driver. That's a very useful when you are working on a larger project because every script can use the same driver configuration and it makes our code easy to maintain. So now what we are going to do, we are going to look into this build driver. So if I select this particular part of code, so you can see here, we have already seen that the graph-based.driver is used to create the driver, and inside that particular driver method, we configure several important parameters. We have seen that we pass the auth and URI, which tells us the server location as well as the username and password. But apart from these two parameters, we also provide other parameters like maximum connection pool size, which controls the maximum number of connections that can be maintained in the pool. Then we have connection acquisition timeout, which specify how long the application can wait to acquire a connection from the pool. Then we also have a maximum transaction retime. Okay, so this controls how long the driver keeps retrying the transaction failure. We have also connection timeout, which controls how long the driver waits when establishing a connection. So apart from these things, we also configure fetch size. This controls how many records can be fetched in a batch when consuming the query results. And then we have the agent. So user agent basically tells us to identify our application to the Neo4j server. So these settings becomes particularly useful when we are building a larger or a kind of a production oriented application. So the important point about the graph-based driver here is that when we call this method graph database driver, the driver object is created. But please remember, but the driver doesn't necessarily verify the server connection immediately. The actual network communication happens when we perform an operation that requires communication with the Neo4j. So that's why we explicitly call driver.verify connectivity. So now what we are going to do, we are going to look into this particular method, verify and describe. So as I said, like first, even if you have defined all the parameters, configured all the parameters, we have to use this verify connectivity method to check that the connectivity is, we are able to set up the connection with the Neo4j driver, Neo4j database. So this, but what happens is like when we call this driver.verify connectivity, this performs a round trip to the Neo4j server if authentication or network connectivity is broken, an exception is raised. If everything works, we print that verify connectivity is passed. This is a very simple and useful way to check whether the database is actually reachable. Then we have this get server info method. If you look at this particular part of code, so what happens here is like this gives us information about the Neo4j server. For example, we can print info.address, info.agent, info.protocol version. So we can see which servers we are connected to, the server agent, the bold protocol version. So this is useful when debugging connections or checking for any kind of a compatibility issues. Now, the other thing is like we have defined the auth error, service unavailable error also, and configuration error. So in case if anything goes wrong, for authentication problem happens or something kind of a situation where Neo4j cannot be reached, or if there is a kind of a configuration which we have put which is invalid. So then we can get the exceptions accordingly. So now the next part here is that understanding the connection pool. So, so when I talk, now let's look at one of the most important concept, which is the connection pooling. So our application may create many sessions. Just think from it is like when we are working on a large scale application, there can be many sessions, and inside those sessions there can be multiple transactions. But that doesn't mean that we are creating a brand new TCP connection every time. So driver maintains a connection pool. So when a query needs to run, a connection is borrowed from the pool. When the session finishes, the connection is returned to the pool. So conceptually, what happens is like there is a connection pool, it borrows a connection, then it executes the query, and then it returns the connection. So connection can then be reused by another session. So what we are trying to do here is in this particular method in demo pool reuse, we have creating the five kind of, if you look at this particular loop, we are creating five short-lived sessions. For each session, we are executing a particular query, return $I as iteration. So what we can do, you can create you can create different short-lived sessions, and for each session, you can create different queries. So it totally depends upon you. So here, for the sake of simplicity, I'm just using a simple query. Then we are printing the results. The important point is that these sessions can reuse connections from the driver's pool rather than opening a completely new network connections every time. Please remember the word reuse connections. Okay, so that is why creating short-lived session is a normal and a very much recommended pattern. Sessions are relatively cheap, I would say, and the underlying connections are managed by the driver. So, if you look at the main functions, what we are doing, we are calling all the methods. We are calling the build driver to from where we have defined all our configuration. Then we are calling the verify and describe, and then we have the demo pool reuse, and then after that we are using the driver dot close. So driver dot close is very much important because when the application finishes, we close the driver. That allows the connection pool to shut down cleanly. So basically, our final message is like after closing is that driver is closed, connection pool is being drained. Now, the next thing is like here is like what I will do is like I will let me run this particular code and let me run. I'm running this code. So you see, it set up the connectivity. You can go through the code and you can check it. It is connected to this parameter. Then server agent is this much, and these are the five sessions which is being created. Okay, and then after that, the driver is being closed, and driver closed is being, and the message for confirming that the driver is being closed is printed. So, let's quickly summarize what we have learned. So, driver is basically the main entry point for connecting Python to Neo4j. Driver can be configured with settings such as connection pool size, connection timeout, transaction retry time, user agent. Then we use the verify connectivity to check whether the server is actually reachable. Get server info gives us the information about the connected Neo4j server, and the connection pool allows multiple sessions to efficiently reuse underlying database connections. So the key idea from this video is sessions are lightweight while the driver manages the underlying connection pool. So thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next video. If you have any questions, please write it down in the comment section. And if you like the video, please do share also. And thanks for watching this video. Please do subscribe also. Thanks a lot.